Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Blackjack Reading, the lucky 21st event in the Nightlight Poetry series. My name is Tom Snarsky, and I'm delighted to be here with you this evening, which is also, believe it or not, graduation day in the county where I live in Virginia. My wife was just at the graduation ceremony with her choir students singing. So as the graduates march, we, walk to pomp and circumstance. We read poems. So I could not be happier to be welcoming this stellar group of poets who are going to share their work tonight. You're going to hear poems from J.T. Kelly, W.V. Sutra, Eliot Cardinaux, and Shana Bulhan. And in case you haven't listened in before, just a quick word about the series before we get things started. Nightlight is a reading series featuring poets and writers in a monthly Zoom. We're usually on like the third or fourth Thursday of the month, so we've been flexing a little bit lately. It's been a little while since our last one, and we always do it pretty much always at 9 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. We're also on social media if you want to check out our backlog of recordings or see where we hype up our future readings. We're at Nightlight Poems on Twitter, Nightlight Poems all one word, and night_light_poems_ on Instagram. We'd love to see you there if you haven't connected that way. It's a great way to meet new folks and to let folks know about the future readings. I could say a lot more about the reading in the series and everything else, but I would really, really love to just jump right into it and get things started by introducing our first reader of the evening, who is JT Kelly. And just to say a little bit about JT before he reads, JT lives in Indianapolis with his wife, their six kids, his two parents, his brother, and a dog. Poems are in the Denver Quarterly, Bad Lilies, and elsewhere. And JT's new chapbook, More of How to Read the Bible, coming soon from Above Ground Press, Rob McLennan's wonderful outfit. JT, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to hear what you're going to read. Take it away.
This is great. Thanks for having me. Um, I am going to jump in with patriotic ABCdarian, and can you believe it's pronounced that way? If anyone after this would like to join my petition to have it pronounced abecedarian, you're welcome to. In this poem, I'm going to pronounce another word, kniflies. And I know you may have heard this word a different way, but this is how my Polish grandmother with a sense of humor taught all of us to say it. Patriotic ABCdarian. I am so American, it hurts. Before Cold War B-movie puberty posters, you are. Your middle name is danger, your middle finger is hunger. Evil Knievel eats kniflies in the sight of his enemies. Fuck that guy if he can't take a joke. In every generation, each person must regard themselves as though they personally were their own grandpa. Imagine there's no heartland above us New York Times. Your jingoism is your pragmatism, arrayed like the sun. The killing floor, the killing field, the killing spree. Kill with kindness, make a killing, kill the story. By laughing. He laughs, but he does not laugh as he is asked to climb the mountain again. Brave new economy, brave new public square, brave new world's police force. The earth is yours, for you bought it, and you own it. The sea, too, you own, and all the creatures who crawl upon the earth to work for you, and all those who perish in the water attempting to cross your borders. Your prosperity floats all our boats. The poor we will always have with us, but poverty, not slobberty, am I right? The quid pro quo of salvation, you save those who save themselves. We remember the names of your rich on our public buildings. Remember the soldiers who are dead. We remember them when they are dead. I sing of arms and the right to bear them. You make a tiramisu of terrorism, a bananas foster of the military-industrial complex, our umbrella against the hard rain. Vengeance is yours. The way of the cross has gone the way of the dinosaur. Act extrajudicially. Love mercilessly. Walk in goose step with your God. Yippee-ki-yay. Zeal for your house consumes me. This next one is called Accordion. Call out to me rooftops, an entire coming-of-age novel. The accordion and other travelers. You could too, you know, a balcony facing west. A tremendous amount of yes, that's what you said. Getting up early used as an ashtray. We don't do, however, only twice in any accomplishments. Inflatable practice dome takedown crew, software retail package assembly line worker, printing press pallet builder, sub-zero commercial warehouse shelver, luggage company inventory relocation team leader, night shift frozen fish truck unloader. One and then two was taken, pardon me, the sheen rain gives garbage, free bus rides inside the zone, breakfast lockout. The fridge in front of the door voting up against self-immolation. Populace in uproar, not what happened, when funnily enough. Very late, an urgent step carefully, addiction runs. NAFTA, have you seen what routing number the bank of fog? Rice, scrambled eggs, prick key new, beer, cigarettes, aspirin. Things have changed, not to show up the difference between wanting. Endurance, the empty out the back and wear. A great wheel of transfers he wanted within a minute. The antidote daily, please, as if in prayer for safety. 4 guys straddling the curb, silver miniatures, a kindness. Remembering scot-free, invariably too late to ask the librarians. This next one is called The Goats of Chagall. This is the new shit. Goats of Chagall. Did you one day turn your open face toward the gravityless lovers and say, "This is it for me, now and forever. I will accompany the lovers through their love"? I have seen you in the tree, on the roof, in the air, pulling a sled, playing a fiddle, joining your head to a human head, joining your body to the cellists. How do you find your place in the world? You always appear at ease. What is your name? Is it witness? Is it survival? How is it that you are not troubled by the fire, by the fleeing? The lovers are sometimes together, sometimes apart. Sometimes one is grounded and the other in seeming flight. Sometimes they are at home with each other in the air. You are untroubled. What a strange comfort to be troubled and to be accompanied by one who is not. What a strange creature you are, goat who is revealed when Chagall paints what is behind the veil. This next one is crisis. Keeping calm is no way to behave. This country needs to get back to the silvery undersides of leaves. History has had a monopoly on the past longer than business has been competing in the present. Tell me again what it is that you do. The doctor says, don't do that. The doctor says twice a day, says 2 years, says if you can keep it. A soul as cold as feet. Have you ever washed your feet in the ocean and lost them? Now you're lying in the sand, waving goodbye to embarrassing foot odor forever. The doctor says lifestyle. The doctor says palliative. The doctor says knock knock, says boo, says why are you crying? The morning light comes in sideways, like a lie we'll all believe by noon. The doctor at the teaching hospital turns off the TV while accompanying her students on their rounds. A little change of pace, pressing vinyl. You can put your hot single second or even third on the album, and that gives you some room to think about art as a life-giving force. Of course, you have to consider the key of the single. Your casual listener, the one who buys your album on the strength of radio play, doesn't know from key, but knows flow. What keeps the living room full of stoners from wandering over to the cabinet to look for the next record to play? What keeps the saxophonist practicing? I can tell you how to burnish what you're selling, but I can't tell you that. The music business isn't even a business. It's a record business. A record is something you can sell. Music, hell, you can go broke trying to sell music. I listen to records all day, every day. The music comes and goes. I tell people, put a track you love first. If they hate it, at least they will hear that one. This is also new shit. Waiting in the car. A short time to work on a poem. One word, maybe two. Giraffe is a good one. I ask the baby, what sound does a giraffe make? She does not know, but she's happy to guess. I imagine a giraffe writing a poem. What kind of poem would a human write? The giraffe asks, leaves brushing her face, her neck. I look off into the distance. All the poems look short from up here. Tuesday, at my uncle's apartment. I went down the back stairway for a long time to a copy of my uncle's apartment. Outside were only the parts of things you might see from a distance. One side of a banana leaf, patches of sunlight above a darkness where there should be a pond. Inside, I was taking his rare books to sell. An embossed dragon raised its head from the page and said to me, even a dog on the moon has recognizable emotions. I share some of them, and yet you will not set me free. This one is called Morning Exercise. It can't possibly be what it seems, and for that I am thankful. Thankful, too, that I have developed object permanence when it comes to love. For all the things I don't know, it's good to be surrounded by them. It's like sitting in a library. I like music, and I am thankful there are so many musical sounds. For instance, the toned ping of a stone kicked into the water and the warble of its echo from the underside of the bridge. I am thankful for peaches and for goldfinches, blintzes, pince-nez, and I am grateful I can play a few musical instruments. To arrange sounds for friends is wonderful. I am thankful to my friends for being my friends, even to those friends who have stopped being my friends. To plunge my hands into the running water of friendship and to see their faces and to see my own face with them in the stream. There are places I have never been, and I am thankful I don't have to go to all of them. When you are 20 years old, you can get a call at 2 in the afternoon that your shift has been cut, and by sunset, you can be 2 states away. And now, of course, by the time you have had the car serviced and finally gotten that job with yearly vacation days in writing, you find yourself looking appreciatively at the cemetery alongside the highway. For comforts, of course, although I have a feeling I should be less comfortable. All the best thankers seem to go without food and sleep. They thank in jail and in line at the DMV. They thank for enemies and illnesses. I am thankful that I am not one of the best thankers. I am, of course, thankful for all the things and people I should be thankful for, but I am thankful that no one holds my feet to the fire demanding I list them all. I am thankful for my wife in a way that embarrasses me. It probably embarrasses her, too. Sometimes I hear a song from an app on my phone, and I like it so much I imagine someday meeting the singer, maybe in the airport, passing each other going the other way, and I call out, thank you for writing and singing that wonderful song, and the singer looks at me like I am crazy. It is not crazy to be thankful, but it might be crazy to have a relationship with a work of art and therefore suppose I can have a relationship with the artist. I am thankful for the app on my phone that plays music. Can you be thankful without thanking someone in particular? There are people I know who will insist that it's my own act of thanking that implies that capital S someone, as if the tetragrammaton is somehow present in the word thanks. It's not. But Tanakh is. I am thankful for all the places God hides. Sobriety is a real gift to me, and people who encounter me would be thankful for it if they had ever known me drunk. I don't hold with the oh happy fault way of looking at things, but I am thankful that I don't have to hate the younger man I see when I look back over my shoulder. Today, I am thankful for memory, the hyperlinked page of my life. Your life, too. After all, we are written in the same book. I am thankful that when I die, I will share whatever death is with all the people who have died, many of them so unfairly. I'm going to end with this short one. Note on a napkin to be found later. Um, And it's addressed, it's like a note that I'd leave for my wife. My wife's name is Hannah. So, note on a napkin to be found later. Dear Hannah, interpersonally frictive, I commute. My Lucretian hooks always reaching out, always blurring the distinction between entities by connecting. Poems do that, we say, but Lucretius knew. Things do it by themselves. By the time I get to work, I am no longer merely me, but the whole patrilinear history of East Chicago. By lunch, I will be in the third person. When I clock out, it will be as an archived record of sale. I admire your intuitive grasp of the nature of things. I love your hand interfingered with mine. Mechanically entangled with you, I remain. Yours, JT. That's all I've got, folks. Thanks so much for listening.
Marvelous. Thank you so much, JT, for getting this reading off to such a beautiful start. The Tetragrammaton, the Lucretius, the job listings. I was in it. So many folks were in it, and I loved getting to hear the new shit. So thank you for sharing that. That was JT Kelly, who you can find on Blue Sky at j-tkelly.bsky.social. JT also, in addition to the new chapbook, More of How to Read the Bible, which is coming soon from Above Ground Press, also has a series of interviews and a review up at Periodicities, which is at periodicityjournal.blogspot.com. JT is a wonderful interviewer, I know from experience. So I hope you check that out. And I hope you keep your ear to the ground for JT's new chap. Basil's cheering you on. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's very excited by the poems. And
Thanks for everything. You mute me with your powers because I seem
oh
not to be
yes,
able to.
I think I can mute you with my powers. Yeah, sorry. We were figuring out how to get JT out of safe driving mode earlier, and we figured it out, but it was a stopgap solution. Amazing. Thank you for asking that. And with that, I'm so excited to introduce our second reader of the evening, a returner to Nightlight. Actually, Sutra, I can't remember if you're a returner to Nightlight or Performance Anxiety or both, because we've been doing this a while.
Both.
Um, Both, yeah. Welcome back twofold to Sutra. And WB Sutra is the author of Skeuomorphia, which is recently released by White Donkey Publishing. In case I'm saying that wrong, it's Skeuomorphia. Sutra's poetics seek at all times to destabilize and undermine received praxis in the hope of achieving a novel manifestation. And Sutra, we're glad to have you back. Thanks for being here. Take it away.
Thanks, Tom. It's good to be back. I think this is my fourth shot, so yeah, it's been great. I'm not at home in Tennessee. I'm on vacation. I'm in the state of Maine, and my ancestral grounds. So my first poem is going to be about that state, and about death, like all my poems, really. And if my Maine accent should creep in during the reading, please know that I come by it honestly. It just kind of happens when I'm around here. This poem is called "The Lake Folk Dead." The lake folk dead lie in the Scotty boneyard, Glidden Street being all filled up, or almost. There also lie the townies and the river folk, but the sea folk dead are different fish for sure. It's mostly sacks of ash these days, economy being needful to the last. It gives the living one less thing to fret about on the gentle ridge with all its ordered stones. The native folk have left their oyster middens. Their feasting lodges now are earth again. They named the river for its little fishes, as Pemaquid, our tranquil lake, is known. Grandpa raised our swampy lot with Phil. When a tree got in the way, he cut it down. Our mom put fresh pond lilies on the table. You go to jail for lilies nowadays. We kids were sent into the lake each day to pull the eelgrass, wading to and fro. And all along the cove, new camps were building. At the end of every dock, a brand new boat. We stacked the grass in heaps upon the beach, and the dads went out on weekends with their guns. They killed the snapping turtles without mercy, so little kids could keep their little toes. They got some big ones, posing with their trophies, but they never did destroy them all. And now the warden roams the sacred waters, his only care to bring the scofflaw woe. So put me in that boneyard when I go. my body well and truly pulverized, arising from a past no one remembers, a mockery made of all my heaped up goods. All right, next. I hate to admit it, but I'm old enough to be, to have been worried about getting drafted to go to Vietnam. And so this is a poem about that era. It's called Oh, My Brothers. Ho Chi Minh City is the name of old Saigon, where we took our tea. You know, we could be sitting pretty, so we should just be moving on, like they have. I was born in front of a TV set and taught to read by the Walt Disney. Love those pictures of mice, oh mommy. Will you give me a bowl of marshmallow fluff? Oh, my brothers, can you hear me now? The time is short for a citizen. I say we make a sacred fire to keep the lizard folk away, my brothers. It's not enough to go steady, to fall in love and get married, falling down on pieces of rice and a honeymoon lover's retreat, then racing the rodents in the city, paying good money to live in a transite box. The president, he came on TV with a little business we had to mind, a tough old job to bring the free to countries not our own. So far away from dinner time, but he didn't forget to smile at you and me. Oh, my brothers, let me hear you say that you won't never go back again. Outside the circle I've been standing, oh, my brothers. I had a boat and I got some bass, and the next thing you know, it was in the front yard with a sign for sale for money, whatever. And it sat there all through the summer till the tires on the trailer were flat. They say that wall will make you cry, but I meditate and I rest my mind. A little bit of yoga makes a fool of me. I soon will find myself down on the floor. You know, the doctor says he's got to cut my feet off, and he can't really even answer for my hands. Oh, my brothers, will you carry me down to the river and let me wander? Let a fellow be, I pray release me, oh, my brothers. Ho Chi Minh City is the name of a swingers resort where the drinks are free. You know, we could be sitting pretty, so we should just be moving on like they have. Next, this poem started out sort of to be about the great poet Charles Baudelaire. But then other people named Charles kept intruding into it, and so I just kind of threw them all in and let it go at that. So this one is called Brother Charles. Should a man wear a smock, if not an artisan, walking alone with his spirits, feeling their affectionate regard, his shoulders draped with the black flag of freedom, wise to keep distance from the innkeepers and townsfolk wishers of ill? Should a man wear a large bow tie if he sings every day in a thrilling voice? Would he look absurd in the midst of greatness, however briefly, of the bourgeoisie, waxing eloquent in a space of vermilion, or possibly amaranth? Daguerreotype image ambiguous, showing frustration or pique, willing in spite of all to live in his own times, helpful to others, to me, certainly in my fragmentation, my dislocation, any brief refuge, any respite from the runaway omnibus. I remember Brother Charles and the other Brother Charles, the teacher opening wide his arms to the singer, the francophone Buddhist, nostalgic for salad days at the Sorbonne, his reading list dragging behind him. Not to forget Brother Charles the trumpeter, the messenger, the bike enthusiast, who filled his bottle as a boy, emptying 1,000 as a bearded man, who now has gone hence in his winding sheet, hand in hand with Psychopomp. Where is the bygone man who would beat another on the street for what had been written? And as the beaten one staggered on, disgusted women would gather their skirts and spit with contempt, fearful of the threat to polite society, and with good reason. Yes, the silence of my dreams is real. The thrilling voice, hallucination. Charles, my brother, gave me tones of gray for consolation, and raised for me a temple in the midst of desolation, wisest of brothers, stretching forth a hand in loving valediction. is a very early poem. So it's not the new shit, but it was published in the last issue of Drake, so I thought I would throw it in. It's called Atomic Skies. Our team has lost again. We always lose of late, it seems. The old folks say we never lost in their day. To lose is bad enough, but shamefully, disgracefully, is ill redoubled. Clearly something must be done. A man we know disowned his infant son for looking like a loser in soft nursing arms. Poor little chap. He is losing this game. This game is hard. The players maimed or dead. The fans who never make it home and all the money spent. The elders in their council fire up the torch again. Flames propane from nozzles jet. And the people cheer and wave once more. Under skies atomic lie the fields of play. No one sees the flights of birds, but then there are the sirens. Everyone hears those. I'm going to go to my phone for the next one. This was recently published in Piker Press, so it is pretty new. It's called Drums and Guitars. I hear the sound of drums and guitars in Kenmore Square, in the Blue Max at Bognor Regis, at some foolish frat house in Durham, New Hampshire, or a shack in Newcastle, Maine, where I backed my old Pinto over a cliff while high as shit. Lucky it was just the rear wheel, so some dudes hauled me out with their truck, and she ran just fine, leaving one more drunk on the road that night. Drums, drums, drums and guitars. G.G. Allen was ill at the Rat. Boy's Life backing up the neighborhoods. I danced with a Japanese girl. Her eyes glittered with raging tears. Her skin smelled of beef tallow, and that was all I needed. She said I shouldn't think her husband a sap for being out of town while she was going home with me, but he was, and she made me pay. I hear the sound of drums and guitars in the student hall at Brighton Polytechnic. My buddy and me had picked mushrooms all day in the deer park, and they felt like really bad speed with no hallucinations. And the band played super loud, forget their name, because they were never famous. Couldn't get a girl to look twice, so we went to the pub and drank Jubilee Ale, strong as Royal Malice. My pal had a new Austin Mini, and he died in it later that year. You want to talk about drums and guitars? What about the night at the Locomotive in Old Beirut, when Wichita Vortex took the stage with borrowed gear and a borrowed drummer? Hamlet and Beast and Little Hollywood doing the rest, killing the crowd, making their disco-ass ears bleed. Fucking Tintin never showed with his camera, so they got no pictures to show the world they existed, that they played and trashed the place like kings. Not bad for some happy horseshit high school freaks who all went home with horny local matrons. Only the borrowed drummer bothered to pick up his money, and I heard it didn't work out for him either. All right. For my last number, this is the newest of new shit. It was just published in the Body Anthology by Rough Diamond. So it's short, pungent, and about death. So it's called No Pictures, Please. Take not my picture when I am dead. No social media for the unlively. They say the dead hear not nor see. In privacy, we lie completed. Throw out the sex toys from under my bed. New dispensations foreclose the intimate. No data sets in my oblivion. No lonely nights, nor bouts of suffering. Tell all my patrons, I wish them well. The Frankish plane invites the conqueror. The love of God and its biology conspire to keep unsub autonomy. Take me no pictures when I let go. My vinyl records are for the landfill. My plastic sheets will do for cerements. Do this for me, kind Psychopompus. Thanks, everybody. It's been great.
Thank you, Sutra. Likewise for bringing us back through time. The that last poem felt like one of my favorite poets is Thomas James. He's got that poem, the Mummy of the Lady Named Jimutsunik, and that's like felt like the like spiritual twin to that poem of being in death. That again was Sutra, who you can find on Twitter/X at W_V_Sutra, Sutra. Sutra's second full-length book, so Sutra's book Skeuomorphia is out from White Donkey Publishing, and Sutra's second full-length book is currently being edited there. So the release date will be announced. So follow Sutra on the socials to keep an eye out for that. And I'm very excited. We were in Maine where Sutra's staying, and now we are firmly in my place of birth and growing up and going to school and falling in love with poetry in Massachusetts for our next two readers. So I'm so excited to introduce both folks whose work I'm super duper excited to hear. The first of whom is my dear friend Eliot Cardinaux. And Eliot Cardinaux is a poet, pianist, composer, and translator working between the lyric and improvised music, living in Western Mass. As a publisher, Eliot has also put out work through their imprint, The Bodily Press, by poets such as Andrew Mawson, Sarah Menifee, Nathaniel Mackey, Kashayar Kes Mohammadi, and others. Eliot is a marvelous poet. Eliot, I'm so glad to hear what you're going to share tonight and maybe some new shit in there, selfishly. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Tom, and thanks everybody for reading. Yeah, so I'm going to start by reading a little bit out of this new book that I just put out through my own press, self-publishing. What can I say? Um, but this one is the book is called Starlings, and I'm going to read from this kind of long poem that's now extended over several collections. This section is called Language I Feel at Else Here. Mile 48. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow or you'll grieve. Lay down in discomfortable structure, jockey for a little solitude, sleep underrated in fetal position, come to terms. Things cannot shake their names. Mile 49. Language I feel at else here. This leap into normalcy, all scurry toward our summation. We found you and named ourselves people, a catachresis. This is where I find myself in love, in you, and everywhere. Mile 50. Interpolation, to refurbish, alter, or falsify a public answer, arresting ourselves unfinished. I'd rather open onto the real conflagration held at a distance, inhabit each other, resisting settlement with you. The note is a monad, nomadic collapse of percussion breaking on my tongue. Mile 51. Never at the outset of anything threatened the squeeze of sub-zero air, the state of our love defined as such that we could not find it, whether unified or numerously so, still knowing it was there, stateless as it were. Mile 52. Honest, I cannot see you. Lift me out of yourself to hold. I am not here to argue the serene expanse of distance squirming out of your trembling hands. To be in love and to love in action just as much as essence. Look toward the wavering. Mile 53. The room rearranged, mimed in memory. A trace of coolness, gift left high above the bed this life ago. And why should I remember? Pain of pleasure gone, scarce resource love, what can I give? Mile 54, for Matt Maneri, the violist. Exquisite agony, dal niente, a thread from silence. Is your head bowed, learning one mother tongue in the void of another, waiting on a secret? Mile 55. Desolation, melody, negation inheriting all imperative. A slow pulse toward the naming of things as they pass to shoulder you. A smile in a smile, wide recognition, a sudden loneliness. alone at the break of things, their breaking done to oneself and to others along the way. Mile 56 for Joseph Donahue. Is envy hell, or is it the uninterrupted stream of eternity tying us to gravity in the earth that causes us to envy even the life of it, the lived life, living not this fragment as a whole? A whole is an envy too, for what goes in arises out of it, nothing an arrival we can name. Mile 57. Did I secretly like it, my system flooded with air on the Amabrochel? What is it to return? I walk so briefly through the memory on my way, and everywhere a trigger comes to my mind. I hold it at a distance, shudder. Sometimes I smile uncontrollably. Mile 58. Tread lightly around my body, falling into it. Our senses merged to lay down in heightened pitch where harmony wears thin, the lines that pull against the gravity of our love, withdrawing long enough to stay, a single syllable. Mile 59. To be this kernel shelled in anonymity, all dissonant surround gathered in weightless resolve to dissipate, a simultaneous undoing. Who in the world am I? And this is another section where that long poem continues with the milestones. This is called The Resistant State. Mile 60 for Asker Thompson. The drone's note a hinge then a fracture, echoed in anxious flutter, insistence forcing our exhaustively collective hand. The air goes out. Sun needs no definition unless it can't be found. My Danish notebook open on my leg, betraying all selfhood. Is it fair to question? Mile 61. To tremble with fear and anger, enter into the poetic headspace, small door above the fridge. Turn on the oven, categorize all meaning, state the obvious elan, drape and fixture before the house. Mile 62. For Katya Popova. These snowflakes come together, bury us in white, whose beauty is desolate labor. A definite space to fill, slow down in the music, reach the murmuring wall, diverge, divest, distill, collapse the formulaic, evaporate the obvious, let the inevitable rise, wash over you. Mile 63, to the memory of René Char. What came before never came to be because we saw it from here. Spring inklings of death, what horizons extend that way beyond humankind? Dissent as brute and bravery disentangle, recognize yourself in the gut's mirror. Mile 64, in memory of Pierre Joris. In my gut, I feel not something that is missing, something that is lost. What is lost can be found in the language behind language. This is how it works, driving over a creek bed or writing to the dead. Mile 65. To enter the resistant state, inhabit the underspoken, travel at a standstill, counter the root. To baffle speech, whatever project, empire into nausea on its heels, the impaled imperative. Mile 66, for Niev Timmons. So much time spent addressing language. Metamorphose, feeding two seeds to one bird, and your tongue will follow. Agency rolls off the tongue like a pill. Stoop down, or the dog will eat it. Mile 67. Decathexis, runoff in rivulets to bliss. Is it eternity? Is it a paper ending? Blood lighten my head where anticipation gravely detaches. Grieve a projected elsewhere I am staying. Mile 68. Song singers broken above the river, all in pieces. Can you forget each instant, formulation, form, formation, difference the eye cannot follow, blended into numerous one? I was that wish in the sky there above the road. Mile 69, in memory of Daniel Levine. Here you are, the age you promised never to be. This book is probably shy of you, to count out your running and mine. Mile 70. Enamored dread the phlegmatic clearing. Wilderness I come to on my own, wake with the first word native to elsewhere, can I speak? Mile 71, for Jade Welch. Stable I feel and fear for you. We are not inured to your injured urgency. The long arc of unkindness circles me, to ravage and rebuild. And then this is the last section of this book is called The Connoted Body, and it's dedicated to Mireille Goncel, who is this amazing poet translator from France that I met. She's Jewish. So I say, Mireille, pour l'instant, je prends des risques. Plus tard, je reviendrai sur ce site où des langues natales se croisent et croissent comme des racines, je vous le promets, sous le signe de pierre. And that translates as, Mireille, for now I'm taking risks. Later, I will return to this site where languages cross and extend themselves like roots, native languages. I promise you, under the sign of Pierre Jarisse, for what it's worth. Um, and then this is another long serial poem that's kind of interwoven with the other one. Maybe I'm just a really big Nathaniel Mackey fan, but that's what it is. Okay, so this is number 21 for Bei Dao at a distance. Effort, exhaustion, sunlight making its way through the body, oxycodone fading, moving like a sloth not to wake the pain. Resisting history as poetry to achieve some innocence. A world that is just in fiction is just in the world. Vignettes of your childhood, famine colored by pagoda blossoms, white rabbit candy. Will I ever understand what is left of that world between self and other, a lover's vulnerable blessing? Lay down and read between the books, a thread of dreaming, sewn into habitation, worn out with desire to write, to cross the road, lifted up by a stranger waking. 22, for and with Joe Iani. Have you misheard the connoted body? How many mosques for Notre Dame to burn? Satisfactory systems of value, judgment. I think of choices, mere facts that exist, the terrific terrors that water constitutes experience and air. I think of you, Joe, the inexplicable, replaced by the inexcusable. The world can be just if we let it. Remember to remind each other. Sew the limbs back on. That was only two buildings, my grandmother said after 9/11. That harshness has a place if there's heart in it, you said. Her brother's heart beating out of my chest. A child's fantasy, reality, out of this world's distortions, searched for and won. Um, there are a few left in that book, but I want to read a few that are more rough and new. So this is number 33. It's not in any books. Tuesday at the laundromat, a woman injured in the subjunctive, half singing, half cooing, as if fawning over a cat who isn't there. Last night in the car, debating the various uses of the word independence, the ability to pay another to do things for you, therefore dependence, or the ability to do everything oneself, the unreachable individual ideal, therefore the assumption of the many fawning over each en masse, the specter of applause. Energy dominance is national security. Thinking through the poem, I wonder, what is the cat's name? And I should mention that this poem was written for and with Shana Bulhan, who's actually my partner and who's here about to read next. We were talking about the notion of independence on our drive back up from well, Durham, North Carolina, and then Baltimore. Anyway, I'll read like maybe two more. 32, also for and with Joe Ianni. I wouldn't trust the meat off the hunter's bone, lost in the Pentagon parking lot. Baltimore Fox says, do not worry. And indeed, I worry a lot about this life and everything, everyone at its edge. Sour the hunter's stomach, create some distance, let the flowers grow, be vegan if you want. Humanity is not delicious, neither to be done away with, milk it for what it's worth. Seasons, salt of the earth and the spice of death, the price of dust, to run on, though I am not soluble in unbottled water, to market the filtered ocean, unlike me. That one is dedicated to the notion that we could all only hope to be as crazy as Alice Notley. And this is the last one I'm going to read. It's number 33 for Deja Reen Carr, aka Maldivisa. If you don't know her, her music is amazing. Her poetry is amazing. I'm about to publish a book of hers through my press. I don't know if she's here, but she's really great. Okay. Relaxing is the hardest work, each phrase contradicting the last. Frantically relaxing, that is the only task of madness, domestic and classical as it is. Talking to a spider outside the outpatient unit, maybe they will understand death statistics, not to excuse the president for the difficult position he's been in term after term after term. It is love that reveals the injustices, never silence the critic, address the source. I am speaking to the center of a void without words. Leave my meaning by the wayside. Take what sound you can. More music for the public square. Mm. And that's all. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Elliot. That was beautiful. What a cascade of the serial poems, and then to stick the landing like that. That again was Eliot Cardinaux, who you can find on Instagram at Elliot's personal account, which is Eliot Cardinaux, EliotCardinaux. But also, as Elliot mentioned, check out The Bodily Press, which is THEBODILY Press on Instagram, also at www.bodilypress.com. Eliot is putting out an absolutely singular catalog of work through the Bodily Press. Some amazing books, chapbooks. There's also music releases, new titles that are out already, and some forthcoming, like Elliot mentioned. There's ones from Shana, some ones from Deja. It's just going to be incredible. It's a really great time to be around at the same time that Elliot is writing poems and putting out poems. So yeah, check out the Bodily Press. And I think you might get to hear potentially more Bodily Press work, possibly, as we introduce, it's always a little bit bittersweet to get to the last reader of the evening. But at the same time, I'm so excited to welcome to Nightlight Shana Bulhan. And Shana Bulhan is a genderqueer, biracial, cross-cultural South Asian poet, artist, and academic. They received their MFA from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and will begin a PhD in communication there this fall. Their work tests the limits of the Romantic tradition while investigating experiences of precarity and vulnerability. Thank you so much, Shauna, for being here. I'm so excited to hear what you're going to read.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here as well. I am going to put a link in the chat to a Google Doc where if I try to provide copies of what I'm reading just in case for accessibility purposes, if it's helpful for anyone to follow along. So yeah, it's just there as an option. So I'm gonna read a few different poems from a few different eras. So I'll start with this one is relatively newer, and I made it along with I first wrote it as part of a collage that I'll show you, but I'm going to read the poem first. So, a contemplation. In desire, the maximal catastrophe, I squander and plead gender perplexity every time its shadow my mirage. If I could dance, I would erupt off the desk, a menagerie no longer only in memory. Red and daunted again, curious float of ocean, flavoring melange. I spring only vapor distilled down, sprawl, become cage. So yeah, this is the collage. I have some pictures of it, but it's kind of, it's hard to show you, but this is where I first wrote it, like on this very like little papers, tracing paper almost. Anyway, there's pictures of it in the Google Doc if you want to see more, but yeah, I like to make a lot of collages with stickers and pictures and random things, really. Anyway, I will continue. So the following, okay, actually, I'm going to read one more recent one first and then some older ones. Okay. So this one is called Love is a Living Time, and it's after the song Love is a Losing Game by Amy Winehouse, which I love. Yeah. At the piano, your miscreant heart is my lonely language. What carceral scar of history did you break through to come find me? I want you to want me, read out of the spine, smeared across your every poem. For I do not wither in my waiting across the flagrant rune. I only submerge my sky, this hue no one could tame. Or Chanak, for you I'd flame alive. So the line in Hindi is or Chanak. It means and then suddenly. I'm not very good at Hindi anymore. Actually, I never was very good, but I try sometimes to have it in my poems. So anyway, so the following poems, they might show up in a chapbook potentially soon. And these are older, but I do keep returning to them a lot. Okay. A reel that doesn't reel. I witness your water, call it a self, call it a white flag. I submerge so neuroleptic, save you an ocean. Viruses are rustling evergreen. And what I would give to be innocent, to no longer fault or reenact. So dive. I broker my iris so you can flaunt it all. It breaks me that I can't just tap your drum. But I choose this twilight skyline of your architecture. I choose the cure of your choice. Isn't that enough? That I would read the archive, thrust so gluttonous, that I would wake and smother into you. I polarized. I won't want you at a distance. I want your shiny face. I want your gleam of mouth. Anything but red. I'm on, slinking with my limerent eye. I antler into your intestines soft. I slither in cacophony apart. I want every ongoing sauce of you. Undone and unmoored. I'm serious about your fingers, this collapsing into gritted tongue. I moor into this body of windows. I collide with your coronary code. Forget my bones. I have a fraying mouth. I flaneurs my way towards you, my wrench slippery and salmon, my ribbon wet with shame, my ribbon held. I constrict into the idea of a future. We used to have the same body. We never had the same body. I'd do well to remember brown is just a magic trick. Brown is just a shroud. I'm young only as kaleidoscope. I'll never earn it. A farce of originary innocence. I wouldn't know your death from a dirge, all fossils and foment. But what about the ragged chaos, the collusion of collisions? For I have no emergent moon. My stars are hypoxic and gold. I sink into my sink of hue. I bleed out into breath. Mirror twins. And yet, the dunes, the waves. And the next one is called I Want a Future Without Abomination. 1. I twist amidst the glowing rarity of your lipstick eyelashes, cacophonous and sweat-nudged, like your fingerprints on still wet paper. I mimic the soft silhouette of your belly, your scalp's secret skylight. It's just heresy. You glassy sea demon, my spliced intestine, the sprung slow motion, my twisting monsterhood. 2. It's a simple anarchy, limbs exploding out, a revolt, an invocation. I mean you, branding me, every virulent shade down on the floor, like a girl in a starched pinafore. I become a simple mockery, a pouring jazz of pills. I let my skirt get drenched in the sink of you. 3. You lie disenchanted in this country as you crouch in the red light, a drumming solo of starched knees, curves to instigate a new colony. You are my cyclone to suck and spit, this division between chaste and sex. You slice my hemispheres in two. I eviscerate it all to understand the leap of sinew and muscle, the deep cream of desire. 4. I want to believe that in this light you could be forgiven, but you are the whitest I have never been, and when you have white in you, you cannot be anything but at war. Sacrilege. Better to dance in memory than collide with mourning. Better to sound every simple breath without shadow. I came to know you like a divestment of sins in that home of brutal corners where I secreted you, sour and spitting. I would smash into Saturn and let you wolf me again and again, but you were never my god of blooming bougainvillea. Still, I wish I could frame you like a literacy before longing. I noun my love like a jagged streak. I noun my body into departure. You sacrilege my syllables, and I citizen a collapse. I'm gonna end with a poem that I used to actually put on dating profiles because this was a while back, but I got really bored of everyone's dating profiles. I mean, not to be, pretentious about it, but I just wanted to do something different. I feel like we're all, in general, people, it's this constant agony of performance when it comes to dating apps. So anyway, so this was what I've used parts of, or sometimes the full version in the past. I long for something beyond the swift assimilation into the expressed individual. If only we didn't have to be so pure. Is there a way through it? My mulberry haze of unruly transformation. I want the nuance of every mistake, the gray of regret, the longing to be uncertain and still allowed. How you multiply, contradict, blur, swirl, and still come back to relate, which is an urgent drama. How dialectically we do shift. I am still here for every unspooling. I grieve in deconstruction. I unravel the logic of safe to be mad inside of desire. And isn't that always just too much to say? I'll say it anyway. For how wonderful it would be to crave in the crux of cultural collision, to shatter, to still become. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate being here.
Wow, thank you for ending us on that beautiful note, Shauna. That was a beautiful spot to end on. And that was Shana Bulhan, who you can find on Instagram at Shana Bulhan, SHANA BULHAN. And Shauna is working on a chapbook that you'll be seeing from the Bodily Press, hopefully very soon, which is really, really exciting. Again, incredible stuff going on at the Bodily Press. So excited to have gotten to hear two amazing bodily authors this evening. And that brings us, again, with a little bit of bittersweetness, but great joy in poetry to the end of our reading for the evening. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of our readers for sharing your beautiful work with us this evening. And thank you to our listeners, whether you're in the Zoom call with us listening now, or if you're watching this on YouTube. Nightlight would not be what it is without the Zoom chat, shouting out all the great lines that our readers share, and the folks who watch recordings and do all kinds of great stuff to support the series. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for finding time for a poetry reading amidst all this. I hope that you might consider joining us at our next reading, which is currently scheduled for the 26th of June. Give us a little space between now and then. And since we have a couple of Massachusetts poets in the house tonight, I always end Nightlight with a poem. And so I'm going to read one by Deborah Diggs from her last book, which is called The Wind Blows Through the Doors of My Heart. And so I'm going to end us with this poem, which is called Love Letters Mostly. Notes in a bottle floated up the bloodstream, scripts hardly audible, a ringing in my ears, love letters mostly, transfused through centuries, once thrown from breakwaters or cliffs. And then the writers, unrequited, walked toward home. Who knows how they lived out their lives, if those they so desired did finally turn to them, who made me who I am. I love to stand under an awning, smoking, while some storm hits hard the ports of Boston. What knows to do so dives deep as it can.